Dr. John Deloney is a very wise person, and I have a lot of respect for him. However, he said something recently in an interview that I totally disagree with because I believe it can actually put unnecessary limitations on people. Take a listen to what he said.
I can't tell you, and I know you've experienced this too, whether it's a single mom with 3 kids just trying to figure out what day it is, or it's a multi-millionaire who's got resources that far exceed anything I could imagine. I've rarely sat down across from somebody and had them be able to articulate, what do you actually want? They cannot answer that question, and they fill it with addictions, they fill it with hobbies, they fill it with dopamine chase. They fill it with so much stuff, and nobody can answer that question. What do you want? Because we just don't have a culture that has a shared vision of where we're headed. We have a culture of you're hurting and somebody else's fault, and let's start pointing fingers. And man, we've got to circle the wagons on a shared vision moving forward.
To say people don't know what they want, I believe that's totally inaccurate. People at heart do know what they want. They may not be at a point where they're ready to admit it to themselves, or to you, to the therapist, or to their spouse, or to whoever they're having a conversation with. And the reason is because what somebody wants is incredibly deep, incredibly vulnerable. It's a very deep part of us. Right? If you were to dismiss what I wanted, I'd be deeply offended because it's such a deep part of me. So people do know what they want. They may not be ready to admit it to themselves. They may not be ready to admit it to other people. But if you want to become more aware of what people want, which is an incredibly healing process, by the way, knowing what you want is even more healing than knowing what's wrong with you. And if you want to become more aware of what somebody else wants, you got to do 2 things. Number 1, you got to approach them with the stance that they know what they want. Approaching them with the stance that they might not know what they want because they're in so much pain, or because they have so much addiction, because or they're filling with so many. The moment we do that, we're showing that we don't fully believe in them. We have to fully believe in people. We have to drop the cynicism. Number 2, when asking people what they want, take them seriously. Don't say no, but what do you really want? Because then that creates unnecessary resistance. Even if somebody gives a shallow answer, following up with the right type of questions can actually help you become more aware of what you want. For example, if somebody gives a shallow answer, so what do you want? Oh, I want to go golfing. That's a shallow answer, and someone might say, well, that's not good enough. What you could say is, and what would that do for you? What difference would that make to you? Chassidus calls this chitzonius ratzon and pnimius ratzon. There is superficial will and there is deeper will. And rather than dismissing somebody's superficial will so you can get to their, focus on what you really want, use one's superficial will, chitzonius haratzon, as a catalyst to understand their pnimius ratzon with follow-up questions. If you went golfing, what difference would that make in your life? Uncover the depth. I had a colleague who was counseling a 15-year-old child, adolescent. And he asked the adolescent, so what do you want? Right, what are your best hopes from our discussion? The adolescent said, honestly, I'm at a point where I'm ready to do the worst. He was ready to, God forbid, take his life. And rather than saying, well, you're not ready to think about what you want because you want to do this, he just rolled with it. And if you did that, what difference would that make in your life? What would that do? What would that do for you? Well, I'd feel peaceful. He uncovered what he really wanted, not by disagreeing with him or saying, hey, he's not ready, but by following up with questions that shows that he's taking this person seriously and believes in him. The moment we believe in people, and we're ready to believe in people at all costs and not let go, we're going to be able to really ascertain what people want, and that's going to be very healing. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.